The SAVAMA agent placed my phone on the metal table between us. The screen was cracked, they'd made sure of that when they arrested me at the checkpoint. But you could still see it. The Farsi Bible app. Open to the Gospel of John. Chapter 14. Verse 6. Manra va rasti va zendaji hastam. I am the way, the truth, and the life. He didn't touch the phone. Didn't need to. The evidence glowed in that windowless room somewhere in the basement of Evin prison. Ward 209. The section where they take the political prisoners. The apostates. The enemies of the Islamic Republic. So, he said, his voice calm, almost paternal. You're a Murtad. Apostate. The word hung in the air like a noose. I'd seen the construction cranes in Valley Asr Square. We all had. They weren't for building. They were for hanging. Yellow cranes against Tehran's smog-gray sky, bodies swinging in the morning light while people drove to work, bought Barbary bread from corner bakeries, pretended not to see. That's what they do to people like me in the Islamic Republic. And this man, this agent with his perfectly trimmed beard and expensive cologne, he knew I knew. Do you have anything to say? He asked. My mouth was dry. I could taste blood from where they'd hit me during the arrest. But I couldn't deny it. Not anymore. Not after everything Jesus had done for me. Yes, I whispered. It's true. He leaned back in his chair and smiled. Not cruel. Almost sad. Like I'd disappointed him. Like I was a child who'd failed an exam. Your father is BASIJ, he said. Did you know that's in your file? 23 years of service to the revolution. Volunteers every Ashura to organize the morning processions. A good Muslim. A patriot. He paused. This will destroy him. I closed my eyes. I could see my father's face. His rough hands stained with engine grease. He repaired motorcycles during the day, patrolled our neighborhood for the BASIJ at night. Checking women's hijab. Confiscating satellite dishes. Reporting suspicious activity. I'd grown up terrified of him and desperately wanting his approval at the same time. And now. We can make this very simple, the agent continued. You sign a confession. You denounce this foreign religion. You make a video, we'll write the script, don't worry, explaining how Zionist agents on the internet deceived you. How you've returned to true Islam. We'll show it on IRIB television. Your family's honor will be restored. You can go home. He slid a piece of paper across the table. Or. He didn't finish. He didn't have to. I stared at that paper. At the gold pen sitting next to it. Expensive. German-made, probably. Like signing away your soul should be elegant. Sophisticated. Very Persian. But let me take you back. Back before Evin prison. Before the arrest. Back to Tehran, where my story really began, in a city of 8 million people living double lives, where everyone wears a mask, and the truth is more dangerous than any weapon. I was born in Tehran in 1996. The year they hanged 320 people. I learned that number later. As a child, I just knew that my city smelled like kebab smoke and fear, that my mother whispered instead of speaking, and that Khomeini's portrait watched us from every wall. Our apartment was small. 3rd floor. North Tehran, not the wealthy part, but respectable. Clean. My father worked hard to keep us there. The walls were decorated with the things every proper Iranian home displayed: a framed Ayat al-Kursi calligraphy, a photograph of Imam Khomeini, a picture of my father in his BASIJ uniform from the Iran-Iraq War commemoration. And Persian carpets. Always Persian carpets. My mother would say, we may not be rich, but we are Persian. We are the children of Cyrus and Darius. We have culture. Culture. That word meant everything to us. It's what separated us from the Arabs. The regime was Arab Islam, imported, foreign, brutal. But we were Persian. We had Hafez and Rumi. We had Noras in ancient empires. We spoke Farsi, not Arabic. We were educated. Sophisticated. At least that's what we told ourselves while living under their boots. Every Friday, my mother made saffron rice. The smell would fill our small apartment, that golden, slightly bitter scent mixing with rosewater from her hands. She'd serve my father first. Always. Her hands trembled slightly when she handed him the plate, the perfect toddy crispy and golden on top. He never thanked her. Just ate in silence while watching the news. IRIB. State television. Death to America. Death to Israel. The same chants. Every night. I learned early to be quiet during dinner. To not ask questions. To not notice the way my mother flinched when my father raised his voice. To not mention the neighbor who disappeared after someone reported him for listening to BBC Persian on his illegal satellite dish. We all lived double lives in Tehran. Everyone. The women who wore full chatters in public but had Western clothes hidden in their homes. The families who drank homemade vodka behind locked doors but condemned alcohol in public. The young people who partied in secret, music thumping through soundproofed basements, while their parents told the BASIJ patrols that their children were studying Quran. Hypocrisy wasn't a sin in Iran. It was a survival skill. But my double life, when it started, when I found Jesus, that was different. That wasn't about satellite dishes or music or hijab. That was about God. And in the Islamic Republic, there's only one God allowed. Allah. The Shia version. The version that demands your blood during Ashura, your sons for the revolution, your mind for the supreme leader. I was 17 when I first questioned everything. It was Muharram. The month of mourning. The night of Ashura, the 10th night, when we commemorated Imam Hussein's martyrdom at Karbala, 1300 years ago, but somehow still fresh, still bleeding, still demanding our tears and our chests beaten raw and our total devotion. I was in the procession. Thousands of us. Men in black. Beating our chests. Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein. The rhythm hypnotic. Painful. My hands were numb. My chest was bruised from the day before. And I looked around at all these men, these grown men, educated men, engineers and doctors and teachers, beating themselves bloody, weeping, wailing for a man who died over a millennium ago. And I felt nothing. No devotion. No passion. No connection. Just emptiness. And the terrible, creeping fear that maybe, I was doing this for nothing. That maybe Hussein couldn't hear me. That maybe he was just dead. That thought was more terrifying than any SAVAMA interrogation. Because in Iran, if you don't love the imams, you don't love the revolution. And if you don't love the revolution, you're not just a traitor. You're already dead. I went home that night, my shirt stained with sweat and blood, and I prayed. Ya Hussein, I whispered into the darkness of my bedroom. If you can hear me, help me feel something. Anything. Please. Silence. And then I did something I'd never done before. Something dangerous. Something that would change everything. I prayed to Jesus. Just one sentence, ISA, if you're really alive like the Christians say, show me. I didn't know then that he would answer. I didn't know that within 6 months, I'd be in Evin prison with that SAVAMA agent and that gold pen and that choice between life and death. I didn't know that I would lose everything, my family, my country, my name, and gain the only thing that actually mattered. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you what happened next. Let me tell you how a BASIJ member's son became a follower of Isa al-Masih in the heart of the Islamic Republic. Let me tell you how Jesus found me in Tehran. And let me tell you why I can never go home again. My brother found the Bible. Not a physical book, those were almost impossible to get in Iran. This was on my phone. A PDF. Downloaded through 3 different VPNs over the course of a week, piece by piece, terrified the entire time that SAVAMA was monitoring my internet traffic. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I remember because my mother was making Ashura, that thick, rich soup with beans and noodles and kashk that takes hours to prepare. The smell filled our apartment. Comfort food. Iranian soul food. The kind of thing that makes you feel safe. I wasn't safe. I was sitting on my bed, door closed, reading the Gospel of Matthew in Farsi. I'd started with Matthew because someone on a Christian forum accessed through Tor browser, anonymous, paranoid, had said it was written for Middle Eastern readers. For people who understood prophecy and covenants and blood sacrifice. They were right. Every page was like a bomb going off in my head. This Jesus, this Isa, he wasn't the weak prophet the Ayatollahs told us about. He wasn't subordinate to Muhammad. He was claiming to be God. Explicitly. Repeatedly. Forgiving sins. Accepting worship. Saying things like, before Abraham was, I am. I was on chapter 9. Jesus healing a paralyzed man. But first, he said something that made me stop breathing. Take heart, son, your sins are forgiven. The Pharisees, the religious leaders, they immediately accused him of blasphemy. Who can forgive sins but God alone? And Jesus didn't deny it. He proved it. He healed the man to demonstrate his authority to forgive sins. I was reading that passage for the third time, my heart pounding, when my bedroom door opened. No knock. Just opened. My brother Reza stood there. 24 years old. Engineering degree from Sharif University. Beard trimmed according to regime standards. He'd just come back from his shift, he worked for the Ministry of Communications. Good job. Secure. Required loyalty. I looked up. Locked my phone screen. But I was too slow. Half a second too slow. His eyes had already seen it. The Farsi script. The chapter heading. Injili Madak Gospel of Matthew. The air in my room turned to ice. What was that? His voice was quiet. Controlled. That was worse than yelling. Reza never yelled. He didn't need to. Nothing. Just reading. Show me your phone. Reza, it's. Show me. My hands were shaking. I couldn't show him. I also couldn't refuse, that would confirm everything. I was trapped. Completely trapped. He walked across my small room in 3 steps and grabbed my phone from my hand. I'd locked it, but he knew my passcode. We all knew each other's passcodes. That's how Iranian families worked. No privacy. No boundaries. Family honor was collective. Family shame was collective. He unlocked my phone. Opened the recent apps. And there it was. The PDF. The Bible. In Farsi. Undeniable. He stared at the screen for 5 seconds. 10. 15. His face showed nothing. That was terrifying. Reza had learned from our father, control your face, control the situation. Finally, he looked at me. How long? Reza, I can explain. How long? 3 months. My voice was barely a whisper. He nodded slowly. Processing. Then he asked the question I'd been dreading since the moment I clicked that first download link. Are you Christian? Not, have you been reading about Christianity? Not, are you just curious? Christian. Murtad. Apostate. Enemy of Islam. Enemy of the regime. Enemy of our family. I couldn't speak. My throat had closed. I wanted to lie. Every survival instinct in my body screamed at me to lie. Laugh it off. Say I was researching to refute Christianity. Say I was gathering evidence against Western propaganda. Say anything except the truth. But I couldn't. I don't know why. Maybe Jesus was holding my tongue. Maybe I was just tired of lying. Maybe I was stupider than I thought. I believe Isa is who he said he is. The words hung in the air between us like a grenade. Reza's face changed. Not angry. Not shocked. Something worse, disappointment mixed with disgust. The same expression my father wore when he talked about Western corruption and Zionist infiltration. You're serious. Reza, listen to me. Do you have any idea what you've done? His voice was still quiet, but there was rage underneath now. Controlled rage. Dangerous rage. Baba is BASIJ. I work for the government. We have security clearances. And you, he held up my phone like it was contaminated. You're reading the Bible? On your phone? Connected to our internet? I used VPNs. You think VPNs protect you? He laughed. Actually laughed. Bitter and sharp. They monitor everything. The VPNs. The Tor browsers. The encrypted messaging apps. Everything. You've probably been flagged for months. And you know what that means for this family? I knew. I knew exactly. My father would lose his BASIJ position. His pension. His honor. Reza would lose his job. Maybe worse. My mother would be interrogated about how she raised such a traitor. My younger sister Parisa, 15 and applying to university, would be denied admission. The daughter of an apostate's family? Never. In Iran, your sin isn't just yours. It spreads like blood in water, staining everyone connected to you. Reza, please. No, he cut me off. His jaw was clenched. No. This ends now. You're going to delete this. He shook my phone. All of it. Every app. Every file. Every search history. Then you're going to go to the mosque with Baba on Friday and you're going to pray like you've never prayed before. And we're going to forget this conversation ever happened. Do you understand me? He was giving me an out. One chance. One opportunity to recant, to conform, to survive. But something in me, something new, something I didn't fully understand yet, wouldn't let me take it. I can't, I heard myself say. What? I can't deny him, Reza. I can't. He's real. He's alive. And he. Stop. Reza's face was red now. The control was cracking. Stop talking. Right now. I don't want to hear this blasphemy in our home. It's not blasphemy, it's. He threw my phone on my bed. Stepped back. Stared at me like I was a stranger. Like I was already dead. You have until tomorrow morning, he said quietly. Delete everything. Renounce this insanity. Or I tell Baba. Reza, I know what he'll do. His voice cracked. And for just a second, 1 second, I saw pain in his eyes. Genuine pain. Because despite everything, despite the regime loyalty and the religious devotion and the cultural rigidity, he was still my brother. And he knew what telling our father would mean. It would mean beatings. Interrogations. Being dragged to the mosque. Being locked in my room. Being watched every second. And if I still refused to recant? Being turned over to the authorities. By my own father. Because in the Islamic Republic, loyalty to the regime comes before loyalty to blood. Please, I whispered. Don't tell him. Give me time to. Tomorrow morning. Reza's voice was flat now. Empty. You have until far prayer. That's it. He walked out. Closed the door behind him. Not a slam. Just a quiet click. And I sat there on my bed, in my small room that smelled like Ashura and betrayal, and I knew my old life was over. I had maybe 12 hours. Maybe less. Reza might tell our father tonight. Might be telling him right now, downstairs, while my mother stirred her soup and hummed old Persian songs. My phone was still on my bed. Screen dark. But I could feel its weight. Its danger. Everything on it was evidence. Every search. Every download. Every Christian website I'd visited through broken VPNs and desperate prayers that SAVAMA wasn't watching. But they were always watching. In Iran, they're always watching. I picked up my phone. My hands were still shaking. I should delete everything. Right now. Save myself. Save my family. Instead, I opened the Bible app again. Scrolled to Matthew chapter 10. A passage I'd read 2 days ago that had burned itself into my memory. Verse 37, anyone who loves their father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Verse 38, whoever does not take up their cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Verse 39, whoever finds their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. I read those verses 5 times. 10 times. Memorizing them. Because I knew that I was about to lose everything. My family. My home. My safety. Maybe my life. And somehow, impossibly, insanely, I was willing to do it. Not because I was brave. I wasn't brave. I was absolutely terrified. But because 3 months ago, I'd prayed a desperate prayer to a man I'd been taught was just a prophet. And he'd answered. He'd shown up. He'd revealed himself to me in ways I still didn't fully understand but couldn't possibly deny. And now he was asking me to trust him. Even if it cost me everything. From downstairs, I heard my mother's voice, dinner is ready. Come eat. Normal. Domestic. The same words she'd said 10,000 times before. But nothing was normal anymore. And everyone was about to find out. I stood up. Walked to my bedroom door. Put my hand on the handle. And I prayed, ISA. I don't know what happens next. But I'm yours. Whatever it costs. Then I opened the door and went downstairs to eat what would be my last family dinner as a son of that household. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in my bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of Tehran through my window. Motorcycles rumbling past. A neighbor's television, state news, always state news. Somewhere in the distance, the call to prayer from the mosque. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. God is great. God is great. But which God? The God I'd served my entire life, the Allah of the Ayatollahs, the Allah who demanded my blood and my devotion and my unquestioning obedience? Or the God I'd discovered in the pages of that forbidden book? The God who said, come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest? Because I was weary. So desperately weary. I'd spent 19 years trying to be a good Muslim. A good Shia. A good Iranian. And I'd failed at all of it. Not because I didn't try, I tried everything. When I was 13, I memorized all 12 Imams' names in order. Ali, Hassan, Hussein, Ali Zain al-Abidin, Muhammad al-Baqir, Jafar al-Sadiq, all the way to Muhammad al-Mahdi, the hidden Imam who supposedly disappeared into a cave in the 9th century and would return someday to establish justice. I recited them perfectly. My father actually smiled. A rare, brief smile. Good, he said. Now you know our true leaders. Not like those Sunni dogs who rejected the Imams. I was taught to hate Sunnis before I was taught to hate Americans. The Sunnis had killed Hussein at Karbala. They had rejected Ali's rightful leadership. They were traitors to true Islam. And we Shia, we were the faithful remnant. The ones who remembered. The ones who still mourned after 13 centuries. Every year during Muharram, we proved our devotion through blood. I was 15 the first time I participated in the Zanjir Zani, the chain flagellation. They gave me chains with small blades attached. Showed me how to whip them over my shoulder onto my back. Rhythmically. Repeatedly. Until the white shirt turned red. This is love, the mullah told us. This is how we show Hussein we remember his sacrifice. We share in his suffering. I whipped myself until my back was raw. Until I could barely lift my arms. Until my mother cried when she saw me, then immediately stopped crying because expressing weakness was haram. We were supposed to be proud of our wounds. They were badges of honor. Proof of devotion. But they healed. And nothing inside me changed. I was 17 when I started having doubts. Real doubts. The kind you can't pray away. It started with a simple question: why? Why did Hussein go to Karbala when he knew it was a trap? The history was clear: he was outnumbered, outmaneuvered, walking into certain death. So why? The mullahs said it was to stand for justice. To oppose tyranny. To create a legacy of martyrdom that would inspire Shia Muslims for centuries. But he died. His family died. His companions died. Slaughtered in the desert. And the tyrant he opposed? Yazid? He stayed in power. Won. Completely. So what was the point? I asked my father once. Just once. We were driving home from the mosque. Friday prayers. The Ayatollah had given the sermon 90 minutes of rage about America and Israel and internal enemies. My father had nodded along with everything, his lips moving silently, agreeing, absorbing, believing. Baba, I said quietly. Can I ask you something about Imam Hussein? He glanced at me. Suspicious already. Questions were dangerous in our family. What? Why did he go to Karbala? If he knew he would die? For Islam. For justice. For. But he didn't achieve justice. Yazid stayed in power. So what did his death actually accomplish? The car swerved slightly. My father's hands tightened on the steering wheel. When he spoke, his voice was cold. Controlled. You don't question the imams. Ever. Do you understand me? I'm just trying to understand. Some things you don't understand. You believe. That's what faith is. That's what separates a Muslim from a kafir. Kafir. Unbeliever. Infidel. The worst thing you could be. I never asked again. But the question remained. Growing. Festering. Expanding into other questions. Why did we pray 5 times a day in Arabic when most of us didn't speak Arabic? Why did we face Mecca when we were Persian? Shouldn't we have our own direction? Why did we obey Arab mullahs when we spent the rest of the time talking about Persian superiority? And the biggest question, why did I feel absolutely nothing when I prayed? I tried. I swear to you, I tried. I performed wudu, the ritual washing, exactly according to the rules. Right hand 3 times, left hand 3 times, face, arms, head, feet. Precise. Perfect. I prayed all 5 daily prayers. Far before sunrise, Dur at noon, Asr in the afternoon, Maghrib at sunset, Isha at night. I recited the Quran in Arabic, phonetically, not understanding half the words. And I felt nothing. No peace. No connection. No presence. Just ritual. Empty ritual. Like beating your chest for a dead man who can't hear you. Like waiting for a hidden imam who's been hiding for 12 centuries. When I was 18, I decided to try harder. Maybe I wasn't devoted enough. Maybe I needed to go deeper. Further. Prove my faith through more extreme commitment. So during Ashura that year, I volunteered for the Taziyah, the Passion Play reenactment. They needed someone to play one of Hussein's companions. A martyr. Someone who would die on stage in front of thousands of mourners. I rehearsed for weeks. Learned the lines. Practiced the choreography. And on the night of Ashura, I performed. I fought the enemies. I fell. I died for Hussein. And the crowd wept. Actual tears. Grown men sobbing. Women wailing. The emotional intensity was overwhelming. But I felt nothing. I lay there on that stage, fake blood on my costume, listening to thousands of people mourn, and I felt like the biggest fraud in Iran. Because everyone else was connecting to something. Feeling something. Experiencing something transcendent. And I was just acting. That night, I went home and I prayed. Really prayed. Not the ritual prayers. Not the Arabic formulas. I prayed in Farsi, from my heart, desperate and raw. Allah, I whispered into the darkness. Ya Hussein. Ya Ali. Ya Mahdi. Someone. Anyone. If you're there, show me. Give me something. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep pretending. I need to know. I need to feel something. Please. Silence. The ceiling didn't open. No voice responded. No vision appeared. Just the sound of motorcycles outside and my own breathing and the crushing, suffocating emptiness. I cried that night. Not for Hussein. For myself. Because I was alone. Completely, utterly alone. And in Iran, if you lose your faith, you can't just walk away. You can't explore alternatives. You can't even talk about it. Doubt is apostasy. Apostasy is death. I was trapped in a religion that gave me nothing but trapped me completely. That's when the real darkness started. I began reading philosophy. Secretly. Downloaded PDFs through VPNs, Nietzsche. Camus. Sartre. The existentialists. If God was absent, if the universe was meaningless, at least these men were honest about it. God is dead, Nietzsche wrote. And we have killed him. I read that line 50 times. Because it felt true. Not that God had ever existed and died. But that he'd never been there at all. That we'd been praying to empty sky. Bleeding for nothing. Waiting for a Mahdi who would never return because he'd never existed. I stopped bleeding for Hussein. Stopped flagellating myself. Just went through the motions during Muharram. Mouthed the words. Pretended. Like everyone else. Because I'd realized something, half of Iran was pretending. The women who adjusted their hijabs the second they left the morality police's sight. The men who drank homemade alcohol in their basements. The university students who had sex despite the regime's obsession with virginity. Everyone was performing piety in public and living double lives in private. Hypocrisy wasn't a sin. It was survival. But it was killing me. Slowly. From the inside. I would wake up and think, is this it? Is this all life is? Performing prayers to a God who doesn't answer? Serving a regime that hangs people from cranes? Waiting for death in a country that's already dead? I started having thoughts I'd never had before. Dark thoughts. About how easy it would be to just stop. To walk onto one of Tehran's highways during rush hour. To take too many pills. To end the performance permanently. I never told anyone. Who could I tell? My father who'd turn me in for weakness? My mother who'd cry and pray harder? My brother who worked for the regime? I was completely alone. And then, 3 months before Reza found my phone, I did something desperate. It was late at night. I was scrolling through satellite channels. We had an illegal dish hidden on our roof, like half of Tehran. BBC Persian. VOA. Manoto. The regime jammed them constantly, but sometimes you could get through. I flipped past a channel and caught a glimpse of something. A cross. Christian imagery. I should have kept flipping. Watching Christian programming in Iran was insanely dangerous. But something made me stop. A man was speaking. In Farsi. Perfect, educated Tehran Farsi. He said, "Many of you have spent your lives mourning Imam Hussein's death. crying for him, bleeding for him. But he cannot hear you. He is dead. He has been dead for 13 centuries. My finger hovered over the channel button. This was seditious. Heretical. I should turn it off immediately. But he continued, there is someone else who died. Who also shed his blood. But unlike Hussein, he didn't stay dead. His name is Isa al-Masih. Jesus Christ. And he is alive. Right now. And he can hear you when you pray. Something in my chest cracked open. I watched that program for 2 hours. Until the signal jammed. Until static filled the screen. And for the first time in years, I felt something. Not peace. Not yet. But possibility. A crack in the darkness. A whisper that maybe, just maybe, the emptiness wasn't all there was. That's when I started searching. Secretly. Desperately. Using every VPN I could find. Looking for that Farsi Bible. Looking for answers. Looking for the God who might actually be there. And now, lying in my bed on the night my brother discovered my secret, I realized something. I'd found him. Or he'd found me. And now I had to decide, was he worth losing everything for? From down the hall, I heard my father's alarm. Far prayer. 4:30 in the morning. In 30 minutes, Reza's deadline would be up. And I still hadn't deleted anything. The morning call to prayer echoed through our neighborhood. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. I heard my father moving in his room. The creak of his prayer mat unrolling. The ritual washing, water running in the bathroom. Then his voice, low and guttural, reciting the Arabic prayers he'd recited every morning for 47 years. I didn't get up. Didn't pray. Just lay there, my phone clutched in my hand, waiting. Waiting for Reza to knock on my door. Waiting for him to ask if I'd deleted everything. Waiting to see if I had the courage to tell him no. But he didn't come. I heard him pray in his room. Heard him leave for work early shift at the ministry. The front door closed. His motorcycle started. Roared away into Tehran's morning traffic. He'd given me more time. Or maybe he'd already told my father and was letting him handle it. I didn't know. The uncertainty was torture. I went through that day like a ghost. My mother made breakfast, Barbary bread with feta cheese and walnuts and honey. Sweet black tea with nabat sugar cubes. She hummed while she cooked, old Persian songs from before the revolution. She didn't know. She had no idea her son was an apostate, that her family was about to explode. You didn't pray far, she said, not looking at me. A statement, not a question. I overslept. She nodded. Disappointed but not surprised. Young people were always slipping in their devotion. It was normal. Forgivable. If only she knew. My father ate in silence, then left for his motorcycle repair shop. My younger sister Parisa was already at school. And I was alone with my mother and my secret in the phone in my pocket that contained enough evidence to destroy us all. I should have gone to university. I was enrolled at Azad Islamic Azad University. Engineering program. But I couldn't focus. Couldn't sit in classes pretending everything was normal when my entire world was collapsing. Instead, I went to a park. Laleh Park, in central Tehran. It was safer than home. More anonymous. In public spaces, you could disappear into the crowd. Become invisible. I sat on a bench under a plane tree and I did the most dangerous thing I'd done yet. I started reading the Bible. Not hiding it. Not caring anymore if someone saw. I opened the PDF on my phone and went to the Gospel of John. The man on that satellite program, the Persian pastor whose name I never learned, he'd said to start with John. It's the most theological, he'd said. The most explicit about who Jesus claimed to be. He was right. Chapter 1, verse 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. I read it 3 times. 4 times. Trying to process. The Word was with God. And the Word was God. Both distinct and unified. Not just a prophet. Not just a messenger. God Himself. Verse 14, the Word became flesh and made His dwelling among us. God became human. Entered His own creation. Walked among us. That's what it was saying. Explicitly. Undeniably. In Islam, in Shia Islam, this was the ultimate blasphemy. Allah was transcendent. Distant. Unknowable. He didn't become human. He didn't lower Himself. He sent prophets. Messengers. Servants. But He Himself remained unreachable, unknowable, completely other. But this was saying Jesus was God. In flesh. Touchable. Knowable. Present. I kept reading. Chapter 3. The conversation with Nicodemus. Jesus saying, "Very truly I tell you, no one can see the kingdom of God unless they are born again." Born again. Not just following rules. Not just performing rituals. Not just bleeding for dead imams. But being transformed. Made new. From the inside. How can someone be born when they are old? Nicodemus asked. Surely they cannot enter a second time into their mother's womb to be born. I almost laughed. Sitting there on that park bench in Tehran, surrounded by people who would kill me if they knew what I was reading, I almost laughed because I understood exactly how Nicodemus felt. Confused. Skeptical. Unable to comprehend what Jesus was saying. But Jesus explained, flesh gives birth to flesh, but the Spirit gives birth to spirit. Spiritual rebirth. Not physical. Not ritual. Something deeper. Something that happened in the soul. And then verse 16. The verse that would change everything. For God so loved the world that He gave His one and only Son, that whoever believes in Him shall not perish but have eternal life. I stopped breathing. God loved the world. Not judged it, loved it. Not condemned it, loved it. Loved it so much He gave His Son. Sacrificed Him. For us. For me. In Shia Islam, we sacrificed for God. We bled for the imams. We gave our bodies, our blood, our lives. We performed and suffered and proved our devotion through pain. But this was saying God sacrificed for us. That He loved us first. Before we did anything. Before we proved anything. Before we bled. My hands were shaking. Not from fear. From something else. Something I didn't have a name for yet. I kept reading. I couldn't stop. Chapter 8. Jesus arguing with the Pharisees, the religious leaders. They were challenging His authority, His claims. And He said something that made my heart stop. Very truly I tell you, before Abraham was born, I am. I am. The name of God. The name Yahweh revealed to Moses at the burning bush. I am who I am. The eternal, self-existent God. And Jesus claimed it. For Himself. Directly. Explicitly. The Pharisees understood exactly what He was saying. They picked up stones to kill Him for blasphemy. Because if He wasn't who He claimed to be, it was blasphemy. The worst kind. But if He was who He claimed to be. I closed my eyes. The Tehran sun was warm on my face. I could hear children playing nearby. Traffic in the distance. Normal life. Normal day. But nothing felt normal anymore. Because I was starting to believe something impossible. That this Jesus, this Isa, was exactly who He said He was. God in flesh. The way, the truth, the life. Not a prophet. Not a messenger. God Himself. And if that was true, then everything else was a lie. The Ayatollahs. The Imams. The hidden Mahdi. The entire structure of Shia Islam. All of it. Built on a foundation of sand. I don't know how long I sat there. Hours. Reading. Thinking. Fighting with myself. Part of me wanted to reject it all. To close the app, delete the file, forget I'd ever read these words. Go back to the familiar darkness. The comfortable emptiness. The safe despair. But I couldn't. Because there was something in these words, in this Jesus, that answered questions I didn't even know I was asking. Why was I empty? Because I was trying to fill myself through ritual and performance and bleeding. But you can't earn God's love. It's a gift. Free. Given. Why did I feel nothing when I prayed to Allah? Because I was praying to a distant, unreachable deity who demanded everything and gave nothing. But Jesus said, "Come to me." Present tense. Come now. To me. I'm here. Why was I so desperate for meaning? Because I was living for a martyrdom narrative: Hussein's death, the Imam's suffering, the hidden Mahdi's eventual return. Always past or future. Never present. But Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life." Now. Today. Present. I opened my eyes and looked around Laleh Park. At the mothers with their children. The old men playing backgammon. The young couples walking carefully distanced, close enough to talk, far enough to avoid morality police. Everyone living their double lives. Everyone pretending. And I thought, what if I stopped pretending? What if I actually believed this? What if I prayed to this Jesus and he actually answered? The thought was terrifying. Because faith in Iran isn't personal. It's political. Social. Familial. National. You don't just change religions. You commit treason. You betray your family. You become an enemy of the state. But I was so tired. So desperately, exhaustingly tired of the emptiness. So I did something insane. Right there, on that park bench, surrounded by strangers in a city that would kill me for what I was about to do, I prayed. Not in Arabic. Not the ritual formulas. In Farsi. My language. My heart. I whispered. Jesus. I don't know if you're real. I don't know if you can hear me. The mullahs say you were just a prophet. A good man but nothing more. But this book, your book, it says you're God. That you're alive. That you died for me and rose again. My voice cracked. I didn't care who heard. I've spent my whole life bleeding for dead men. Praying to silence. Waiting for a hidden imam who never comes. And I'm so tired. I'm so empty. If you're real, if you're really alive, please show me. I need to know. I need to feel something. Anything. Please. I opened my eyes. Nothing happened. No lightning bolt. No angelic choir. No burning bush. Just Tehran on a Tuesday afternoon. Hot and smoggy and utterly mundane. I felt stupid. Desperate. Pathetic. But then, and I can't explain this, I can only tell you what happened, I felt something. Not audible. Not visible. But present. A warmth. A weight. Like someone had sat down next to me on that bench. Like I wasn't alone anymore. And a thought entered my mind. Not my thought. I knew it wasn't my thought because I would never think something so gentle, so kind, so utterly foreign to everything I'd been taught. I've been waiting for you to ask. I gasped. Actually gasped. Looked around. No one was there. Just the same mothers, the same old men, the same couples. But I wasn't alone. I knew I wasn't alone. Is that you? I whispered. The presence intensified. The warmth spread through my chest. And that voice, that thought, that knowing, it came again. I am here. I have always been here. And I love you. I started crying. Right there in public. Tears streaming down my face. I didn't care. Couldn't care. Because for the first time in my entire life, I felt it. Peace. Not happiness. Not euphoria. Just solid, unshakable, inexplicable peace. Like I'd been drowning my entire life and someone had just pulled me to the surface and I could finally breathe. I don't know how long I sat there. 10 minutes. 30. An hour. Time felt strange. Fluid. But when I finally stood up to leave, I was different. Something fundamental had shifted. I didn't just believe Jesus was real intellectually. I knew. The way you know your own heartbeat. The way you know when someone's watching you. Undeniable. Unshakable. Jesus was alive. He'd heard me. He'd answered. And my life would never be the same. I walked out of that park with my phone still in my pocket, the Bible app still open, and a decision crystallizing in my heart. I would follow him. Whatever it cost. Whoever I lost. However it ended. Because I'd finally found what I'd been searching for my entire life. Not a religion. Not a ritual. Not a distant deity or a hidden imam or a dead martyr. But a living God who loved me. Who knew me. Who called me his own. I walked home through Tehran's crowded streets. Past the propaganda murals. Past the morality police. Past the Khomeini portraits. Past all the symbols of the Islamic Republic. And for the first time ever, I wasn't afraid. I should have been. I was walking toward disaster. Toward family confrontation. Toward arrest in prison and maybe death. But I wasn't afraid. Because I wasn't walking alone anymore. Jesus was with me. And that changed everything. It was the 10th night of Muharram. Ashura. The most sacred night in the Shia calendar. 2 weeks had passed since that day in Laleh Park. 2 weeks of living in impossible tension. Reza hadn't told my father yet, I still don't know why. Maybe he was giving me time to recant. Maybe he was protecting the family from the shame. Maybe he was just afraid of what would happen when the truth came out. But it was coming. I could feel it. The pressure building. The clock ticking down. And then Ashura arrived. In Iran, Ashura isn't just a religious observance. It's a national event. The entire country stops. Everything closes: shops, offices, schools. The streets fill with millions of mourners dressed in black, beating their chests, chanting Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein, until their voices are hoarse and their hands are numb. My family went together. Always did. It was tradition. Honor. A public demonstration of our piety and loyalty. My father led us through the streets of our neighborhood toward the main procession. He was wearing his BASIJ uniform, olive green, perfectly pressed. The uniform gave him authority. Made people step aside. Nod respectfully. He loved that. The power. The status. My mother walked behind him in full black chatter, only her face visible. My sister Parisa beside her, 15 and already learning to disappear into the background the way Iranian women are taught. And Reza and I followed. Brothers. Sons of a BASIJ officer. Expected to exemplify devotion. The streets were chaos. Controlled chaos. Thousands of people moving in rivers of black clothing. The air was thick with the smell of sweat and smoke from the braziers burning Esfand, wild rue, to ward off evil. Banners hung everywhere, green and black flags, portraits of Imam Hussein, images of the martyrs of Karbala. And the sounds. God, the sounds. The rhythmic beating of chests. Thump. 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 Like a heartbeat. Like war drums. Thousands of fists striking thousands of chests in perfect synchronization. And the chanting, rising and falling like waves. Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein. We joined a procession near our mosque. Men in the front, women in the back. Separated. Always separated. My father immediately started beating his chest. Hard. Violent. Making it hurt. Making it count. I joined in. Had to. Not joining would be suspicious. Treasonous. So I raised my fists and brought them down on my chest. Thump. 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 But my heart wasn't in it. My heart was somewhere else entirely. Because for 2 weeks, I'd been reading that Bible every spare moment. Hiding in bathrooms. Reading under my blankets at night with my phone brightness turned down. Memorizing verses. Letting them sink into my soul. And I'd been praying. To Jesus. To Isa. Not the ritual prayers. Just talking. Like he was there. Like he could hear me. And the strangest thing, he answered. Not audibly. But through that same presence I'd felt in the park. That warmth. That knowing. That sense of not being alone anymore. It was addictive. I'd go hours without praying to Jesus and I'd feel the absence. The cold. The loneliness. And then I'd pray, just whisper his name and the presence would return. The peace would flood back. I was falling in love with him. I didn't have better words for it. It was like falling in love. This constant awareness. This desire to be near him. This ache when I felt distant. But now, in this procession, surrounded by thousands of people mourning a man who'd been dead for 13 centuries, I felt the contradiction crushing me. Thump. 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 Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein. I was beating my chest for Hussein while my heart belonged to Jesus. I was chanting morning prayers while I wanted to sing worship songs I'd found on Christian websites. I was pretending to grieve while I'd never felt more alive. The hypocrisy was suffocating me. The procession moved through the streets. Hours passed. The sun set. The air cooled slightly but stayed thick with smoke and sweat. We reached the main square where they'd erected a stage for the Taziyah, the Passion Play. I'd performed in one last year. Now I watched from the crowd as actors reenacted Hussein's final battle. The enemies attacked. The martyrs fell. Fake blood everywhere. Theatrical suffering. And the crowd wept. Thousands of people crying. Wailing. Tearing at their clothes. My mother was crying. My sister was crying. My father's face was stone. Emotion wasn't allowed for men like him, but his jaw was clenched, his fists tight. And I felt nothing. Absolutely nothing. No. That's not true. I felt wrong. Like I was betraying something by being there. Like I was participating in something that wasn't just empty, but actively false. Because I'd read in that Bible about the real sacrifice. Not a political martyr who died fighting for power. But God himself, dying for sinners. Not seeking a throne, but surrendering one. Not killed by enemies in battle, but willingly laying down his life. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. That's what Jesus said. And that's what he did. Not in a battle. Not in glory. On a cross. Humiliated. Tortured. Alone. But he rose again. 3 days later. Alive. Hussein didn't rise. He was still in that grave in Karbala. Still dead. Still powerless to hear the millions who cried his name. But Jesus was alive. Right now. Hearing every prayer. Present. Active. Real. The Passion Play ended. The crowd's wailing intensified. The procession moved toward the mosque for the final night prayers. I couldn't do it. I couldn't go into that mosque and bow toward Mecca and recite Arabic formulas to a God I no longer believed in. I need to use the bathroom, I whispered to my father. He barely acknowledged me. Just nodded. Focused on the ceremony. I slipped away. Through the crowd. Down a side street. Away from the procession. Away from the chanting. Away from the performance. I walked with no destination. Just walked. Trying to breathe. Trying to think. I ended up in an empty alley behind a shuttered bazaar. Dark. Quiet. The sounds of Ashura distant now. Muffled. I leaned against a wall and I broke. Just broke. The tears came hard and fast. Months of tension. Weeks of double life. Years of emptiness. All of it pouring out. I can't do this anymore, I sobbed. I can't. I can't keep pretending. I can't keep beating my chest for Hussein when my heart belongs to you. I can't keep living this lie. But I don't know what to do. If I tell them, they'll kill me. If I keep hiding, I'll die inside. I'm trapped. I'm so trapped. Please. Please. Show me what to do. Show me you're real. Show me this isn't all in my head. I need to know. I need. And then the alley changed. I can't explain it better than that. The alley changed. The darkness didn't disappear. But it wasn't dark anymore. There was light. Not from any source I could see. Not from street lamps or windows or moon. Just light. Soft. Warm. Golden. And I wasn't alone anymore. There was a presence. Physical. Tangible. So overwhelming I fell to my knees. Not out of respect, I couldn't stand. My legs wouldn't hold me. The air felt thick. Heavy. Like reality itself had become more real. More solid. More true. And then I saw him. Jesus. Isa al-Masih. I don't know how to describe what he looked like because I can barely remember his features. Not because they were unclear, because they were almost too clear. Too much to hold in my mind. But I remember his eyes. Dark. Kind. Infinite. Looking at me like he knew me. Every part. Every sin. Every doubt. Every secret. And loved me anyway. He wasn't European. That's what struck me first. All the pictures I'd seen, hidden images on Christian websites, they showed a pale Jesus with light hair and blue eyes. Western Jesus. Foreign Jesus. But this Jesus, he looked like he could be from here. Olive skin. Dark hair. Middle Eastern features. He could have walked through Tehran and no one would have looked twice. Except for his eyes. His presence. That was unmistakable. He was wearing simple clothes. White. But they seemed to glow. Or maybe he glowed and the clothes just reflected it. I don't know. He stood maybe 3 meters from me. Not moving. Just present. Radiating something I didn't have words for. Love. Authority. Power. Peace. All of it. Simultaneously. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. And then he spoke. In Farsi. Perfect, unaccented, beautiful Farsi. Pezaram. My son. His voice wasn't loud. But it filled everything. The alley. My head. My heart. My bones. I tried to respond. Couldn't. My mouth wouldn't work. He smiled. Just slightly. Understanding. I have been calling you, he said. For a long time. Through the emptiness. Through the questions. Through the pain. I have been calling. And you finally answered. Are you? My voice was barely a whisper. Broken. Are you really? Isa? I am. Those 2 words. I am. The same words he'd spoken to the Pharisees. The name of God. And I knew. In that moment. Beyond doubt. Beyond question. Beyond any possibility of denial. He was exactly who he claimed to be. God. In flesh. Alive. Here. I fell forward. Face to the ground. The same position I'd prostrated thousands of times in prayer. But this was different. This wasn't ritual. This was worship. Real worship. For the first time in my life. Forgive me, I sobbed into the ground. Forgive me for everything. For all the years I ignored you. For the sins. For the hatred I was taught. For. You are forgiven. Just like that. Simple. Complete. Final. But I don't deserve. No one deserves it. That's why it's called grace. I looked up. He was closer now. Right in front of me. Close enough to touch. The Hussein you mourned, he said gently, he cannot hear you. He is dead. He has been dead for 13 centuries. The Mahdi you wait for, he is hidden. If he ever existed at all. But I am here. I am alive. Not dead. Not hidden. Present. With you. Right now. Why? The question burst out of me. Why me? I'm nobody. I'm just. You are mine. His voice was firm now. Absolute. I chose you before you were born. I called you when you were bleeding in those processions. I answered when you prayed in that park. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are my son. And I love you. The weight of those words. I can't describe the weight. I'd spent my entire life trying to earn love. Trying to prove myself worthy. Bleeding. Performing. Achieving. And failing. Always failing. But he was saying I didn't have to earn it. It was already mine. Already given. Before I did anything. Before I deserved anything. Grace. Tears were streaming down my face. What do I do now? My family, they'll kill me when they find out. The regime. I know. His expression held both compassion and something else. Seriousness. Following me will cost you everything. Your family. Your country. Your safety. Maybe your life. I won't lie to you about that. The road ahead is hard. Very hard. My heart sank. But somehow, not with despair. With clarity. At least he was honest. But, he continued, and his smile returned, you will never walk it alone. I will be with you. Every step. Every moment. In the prison cell. In the interrogation room. In the exile. In the loneliness. I will be with you. And what they can destroy, your reputation, your relationships, even your body, these are temporary. But what I give you, forgiveness, purpose, eternal life, my presence, these are forever. No one can take them. Ever. He reached out his hand. Palm up. Offering. So I'm asking you, Pezaram. Will you follow me? Knowing what it costs? Knowing what's ahead? I stared at his hand. Scarred. I could see the scars. From the nails. From the cross. He'd already paid. Already suffered. Already died. For me. How could I say no? I reached out and took his hand. The moment our hands touched, light exploded through me. Through every cell. Every nerve. Like fire but not burning. Like electricity but not painful. Pure. Cleansing. Transforming. I gasped. Cried out. Not in pain. In something else. Something beyond words. And I knew something fundamental had just changed. Not just in my mind. Not just emotionally. But in my spirit. In the deepest part of my being. I was different. Made new. Born again. Just like he'd told Nicodemus. When I opened my eyes, he was still there. Still holding my hand. Still smiling. Welcome home, he said. And then he was gone. Not gradually. Just, gone. The light faded. The presence lifted. The alley was dark again. Normal again. But I wasn't normal. I would never be normal again. I sat there on the ground, I don't know how long. Minutes. Hours. Time felt meaningless. Jesus had appeared to me. In Tehran. On Ashura. In an alley. God had appeared to me. And everything had changed. When I finally stood up and walked back toward my neighborhood, the Ashura processions were ending. People were dispersing. Exhausted. Emotionally spent from hours of mourning. But I wasn't exhausted. I was alive. More alive than I'd ever been. I found my family near our home. My father looked at me with suspicion. "Where were you?" "I got lost in the crowd," I lied. "So easily. Too easily." He grunted. Didn't believe me but didn't press it. We went inside. My mother served tea. We sat in silence. The comfortable silence of a family that didn't really communicate. Didn't really know each other. And I sat there, drinking sweet tea, surrounded by people who would reject me the moment they knew the truth, and I felt peace. Because I wasn't sitting alone. Jesus was there. I couldn't see him. But I could feel him. That presence. That warmth. He'd promised he would never leave me. And I believed him. Because he'd kept every promise so far. The knock came 3 days later. 5:30 in the morning. Still dark outside. The kind of knock that wakes the entire apartment building. Hard. Authoritative. Unmistakable. SAVAMA. I knew before anyone said anything. I was already awake. I'd barely slept since Ashura. Since Jesus appeared. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him. Heard his voice. Felt his presence. And every time I opened them, I wondered when everything would fall apart. Now I knew. My father opened the door. I heard voices. Low. Official. Then louder. My father's voice rising. "What is this about?" "I am BASIJ. I have served the revolution for. We need to speak with your son. Arash. Now." My name. They said my name. My mother appeared in my doorway. Her face white. Terrified. "What did you do?" she whispered. I couldn't answer. My throat had closed. "Arash." My father's voice. Commanding. Furious. "Come here. Now." I stood. My legs were shaking but somehow, impossibly, my heart was calm. That peace Jesus had given me, it was still there. Even now. Even facing this. I walked into our small living room. 3 men. Plain clothes but unmistakable, the trimmed beards, the cold eyes, the authority they wore like uniforms. SAVAMA. Ministry of Intelligence and Security. The ones who made people disappear. One of them held up a paper. "Arash Rizai?" "Yes. You need to come with us. Now." "What is this about?" My father stepped forward. "I demand to know what." "Your son is under investigation for crimes against national security and apostasy from Islam." The agent's voice was flat. Bored. He'd done this 1,000 times. "You can come to the office later to be informed of the charges." Apostasy. The word hung in the air like a bomb. My mother gasped. Actually gasped. Her hand flew to her mouth. My father's face went through several emotions in rapid succession. Shock. Disbelief. Rage. And finally, this was the worst, shame. Deep, burning shame. "No," he said. "No. There must be a mistake. My son would never." "There's no mistake." The agent looked at me. "Get dressed. You have 2 minutes." I went to my room. My hands were still shaking but my mind was clear. I pulled on jeans. A shirt. My mother appeared in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. "Tell them it's a lie," she whispered desperately. "Tell them you're a good Muslim. That you." "Man." I looked at her. Really looked at her. "I can't." "Why not?" "Just say it." "Just." "Because it would be a lie." She stared at me. Horror dawning in her eyes. You actually," she couldn't say it. Couldn't form the word. "I'm sorry," I said. And I meant it. I was destroying her. I knew that. This would follow her forever. The mother of an apostate. The shame. The whispers. The loss of status. But I couldn't deny him. I couldn't deny Jesus. Not after what he'd shown me. Not after he'd revealed himself to me. Get out. Her voice was cold now. Dead. You are not my son. Get out of my house. The agents were already in my doorway. They grabbed my arms. Not violently, but firmly. Professional. They walked me through the living room. My father stood frozen. Silent. His face a mask. But his eyes held murder. Reza was there too. He'd heard the commotion. Came out of his room. Our eyes met for just a second. He looked away first. He'd told them. Or maybe he hadn't needed to. SAVAMA monitored everything, tracked everything. But Reza hadn't warned me. Hadn't protected me. Had chosen the regime over his brother. The agents walked me down the stairs. Out into the street. Dawn was just breaking. Our neighbors were watching from windows. Curtains twitching. They'd all know by sunset. The BASIJ officer's son. An apostate. The scandal would spread like wildfire. They put me in a car. Plain sedan. Tinted windows. Drove through Tehran's empty early morning streets. I prayed. Silently. Desperately. Isa, you promised you'd be with me. Please. I'm scared. I'm so scared. Please be with me. And that presence, that warmth, it came. Immediately. Like he'd been waiting for me to ask. Not audible. Not visible. But there. Solid. Real. I am with you. Do not be afraid. We drove for 30 minutes. I knew where we were going before we arrived. Evin prison. The name every Iranian knows. The name that appears in whispered conversations. The place where political prisoners disappear. Where torture is routine. Where confessions are extracted and executions are carried out and bodies are buried in unmarked graves. The car pulled through gates. High walls. Barbed wire. Guard towers. We entered a section, Ward 209. Solitary confinement. The section for political prisoners and apostates. They took me to a room. Small. Concrete walls. A metal table. 2 chairs. One window barred, high up, barely letting in light. Sit, one agent said. I sat. They left. Locked the door. And I waited. Minutes became hours. There was no clock. No way to track time. Just silence and concrete and fear trying to claw its way past that supernatural peace. I prayed. Recited Bible verses I'd memorized. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. I don't know how long I waited. 4 hours? 6? 8? Finally, the door opened. A man entered. 50s. Well-dressed. Expensive cologne. Trimmed beard. Calm demeanor. Not the violent enforcer type. The psychological warfare type. More dangerous. He sat across from me. Placed a folder on the table. My folder. Everything about me. My family. My internet history. My entire life. Arash, he said pleasantly. Almost friendly. Do you know why you're here? Yes. Good. That makes this easier. He opened the folder. Pulled out printed pages. Screenshots. My internet history. Christian websites. Bible downloads. Prayer requests submitted to Persian Christian forums. Everything. They'd been watching for months. You've been accessing illegal content, he said. Christian propaganda. Zionist material designed to corrupt Iranian youth. These are serious charges. I said nothing. But more serious than that, he pulled out another page. You've converted. Haven't you? To Christianity. You're a Murtad. An apostate. Still I said nothing. The penalty for apostasy in the Islamic Republic is death. You know this, yes? Yes. So? He leaned back. Studied me. Here's what I don't understand. You're an intelligent young man. Engineering student. Good family. Father is BASIJ. You have a future. Why would you throw all that away for, what? A foreign religion? A Western ideology? It's not Western, I said quietly. Jesus was Middle Eastern. Born in Bethlehem. Died in Jerusalem. He's more ours than he is theirs. The agent's eyes narrowed. Careful. You're already in enough trouble. You asked why. I'm telling you. Then tell me this. He leaned forward. What did Christianity give you that Islam couldn't? The question hung in the air. And I realized this was it. This was my chance. Maybe my only chance. To testify. To speak truth. Even if it cost me everything. Peace, I said. Real peace. Not the empty ritual. Not the endless mourning. Not the performance. Peace. I spent 19 years bleeding for Imam Hussein. Beating my chest until I was bruised. Crying for a man who's been dead for 13 centuries. And I felt nothing. Just emptiness. Just darkness. The agent's face was unreadable. But when I prayed to Isa, to Jesus, he answered. He appeared to me. 3 days ago. On Ashura. In an alley. I saw him. And he spoke to me. In Farsi. And he told me he loved me. That I was forgiven. That I was his son. You had a hallucination. No. My voice was firm now. Strong. It wasn't a hallucination. It was more real than this room. More real than you sitting across from me. He was there. And he's still with me. Right now. Even here. The agent stared at me. Something flickered in his eyes. Fear? Uncertainty? I couldn't tell. You're either insane or suicidal, he finally said. Neither. I'm just telling the truth. He closed the folder. Stood up. We'll continue this tomorrow. Think carefully about what you want to say. About whether you want to recant. Because if you continue down this path, you will die. Slowly. Painfully. And no one will remember you. You'll just be another statistic. Another apostate who chose death over life. He walked to the door. Knocked. It opened. Wait, I called out. He turned. Can I ask you something? He hesitated. Then nodded. Do you have peace? When you pray? When you beat your chest on Ashura? Do you feel anything? His face hardened. Get some rest. You'll need it. He left. The door locked. And I was alone again. Except I wasn't alone. Jesus was there. I could feel him. That presence stronger than ever. I told them about you, I whispered into the empty cell. Was that right? Should I have? You did well, Pezaram. You told the truth. That's all I asked. What happens now? Silence. Not the absence of answer. Just waiting. I lay down on the concrete floor. There was no bed. No blanket. Just cold stone. And I slept. Deeply. Peacefully. Impossibly. Because he was with me. I woke to the sound of the door opening. Different guard. Different energy. Get up. You're being released. I sat up, confused. What? You're free to go. Now. Before someone changes their mind. I don't understand. Neither do I. But your file has been marked insufficient evidence. You're being released pending further investigation. Now move. I stood. Walked out of that cell in a daze. They processed me quickly. Returned my phone. My wallet. Walked me to the front gate. And just like that, I was outside. Free. The morning sun bright in my eyes. I stood there on the street outside Evin prison, completely bewildered. I should still be in there. Should be facing interrogation. Torture. Execution. But I was free. My phone buzzed. A text. From a number I didn't recognize. You have 48 hours to leave Iran. Don't go home. Don't contact your family. Just go. This is your only warning. And your only chance. I stared at that message. And I understood. This was the miracle. Not a dramatic escape. Not an angel opening prison doors like with Peter. But a door being opened nonetheless. A way being made. By a God who keeps his promises. I will be with you. I will make a way. He had. Now I had to walk through it. I stood outside Evin prison for maybe 30 seconds. Then survival instinct kicked in. 48 hours. 2 days to leave Iran. A country I'd never left. A language I'd never stopped speaking. A culture that was woven into my DNA. I couldn't go home. The text had been clear. And even if it wasn't dangerous, what was there to go back to? My mother had disowned me. My father's eyes had promised violence. Reza had chosen his side. I was already dead to them. I started walking. Away from the prison. Away from my neighborhood. Toward. I didn't even know. My mind was racing. Where do you go when you can't go home? When you have no money, no plan, no passport? Then I remembered. 3 weeks ago, I'd found an underground house church online. Through encrypted forums. Careful, paranoid communication. They'd given me an address. Told me I was welcome anytime. I'd never gone, too afraid of being followed, of exposing them, of making it real. But now it was already real. I had nothing left to lose. I found a payphone. Yes, we still had those in Tehran. Called the number I'd memorized but never dialed. 3 rings. 4. Then a man's voice. Cautious. Bail? Yes? I'm looking for the baker. The code phrase. Stupid sounding. But necessary. Silence. Then, the bakery is closed today. I have nowhere else to go. I just came from Evin. They released me. I have 48 hours to leave Iran. More silence. I could hear him breathing. Calculating the risk. Helping me put his entire congregation in danger. Stay where you are. Don't move. We'll send someone. He hung up. I waited. 20 minutes. 30. Every car that passed might be SAVAMA. Every person who walked by might be BASIJ. I was completely exposed. Completely vulnerable. Then a motorcycle pulled up. The driver wore a helmet. Couldn't see his face. He handed me a second helmet without speaking. I got on. We drove through Tehran. Not the direct route, we circled. Doubled back. Checked for tails. Professional. These people had done this before. Finally, we pulled into a neighborhood in South Tehran. Working class. Crowded. The kind of place where people minded their own business because everyone had secrets. He stopped in front of an apartment building. Led me upstairs. 3rd floor. Knocked a pattern. 3 short, 2 long. The door opened. A man stood there. Mid-40s. Kind face. Tired eyes. The eyes of someone who'd carried heavy burdens for a long time. Come in, he said. Quickly. I entered. The apartment was small. Modest. But the moment I stepped inside, I felt it, the same presence I'd felt in that alley. Jesus was here. These were his people. There were 5 others already there. 2 men, 3 women. All ages. All backgrounds. All with the same thing in their eyes, they'd paid the price too. I'm Mehdi, the man said. This is our house church. You're safe here. For now. I almost collapsed. The adrenaline was wearing off. The reality crashing in. They arrested me this morning, I said. From my parents' house. Took me to Evin. Interrogated me. Then released me. I don't understand why, but someone texted me that I have 48 hours to leave Iran. Mehdi nodded slowly. God is protecting you. Giving you a window. We need to move fast. I don't have a passport. I don't have money. I don't have anything. We have a network, one of the women said. Her name was Nazanin. Early 30s. Her face was scarred, burn marks along one side. Someone had attacked her for her faith. She'd survived. We help believers escape. It's not easy. It's not safe. But it's possible. Where would I go? Turkey first, Mehdi said. Across the Kurdistan border. We have smugglers we work with. Not cheap. But they're reliable. From Turkey, you apply for asylum. Europe, Australia, Canada, somewhere that will take you. I don't have money, I repeated. We have funds. Donations from Persian Christians abroad. From churches in the West. It's not much, but it's enough. Consider it a gift. From the family you just joined. Family. The word hit me hard. I'd lost one family. And gained another. Instantly. Completely. Nazanin made tea. We sat on the floor, there wasn't much furniture. And they told me their stories. Mehdi had been a mullah. Actually trained in Qom, the holy city, the center of Shia scholarship. He'd studied the Quran, the Hadith, Islamic law. Was being prepared to be an imam. Then he started reading Christian apologetic to refute them. And couldn't. The arguments made too much sense. The Bible's claims about Jesus were too compelling. He'd tried to dismiss it. Tried to find flaws. Instead, he found Jesus. He'd lost everything. His position. His family. His fiancée. Spent 2 years in Evin real time, not just overnight. Torture. Solitary. Psychological warfare. But he never recanted. And eventually, miraculously, they released him. He'd been running this house church for 5 years since. Nazanin had been married. 3 kids. Her husband found her Bible. Beat her. Poured boiling water on her face, the scars. Then divorced her and took the children. She hadn't seen them in 4 years. They were being raised to believe their mother was a demon. A traitor. She prayed for them every day. Hoped that someday, when they were older, they'd understand. Each person had a story. Each person had paid the price. And each person radiated that same peace I'd found. That same presence of Jesus. We prayed together. In Farsi. In our own words. Not rituals. Not recitations. Just talking to God like He was there. Because He was there. And I wept. For what I'd lost. For what I'd gained. For the road ahead. We need to leave tonight, Mehdi said when we finished praying. The window is closing. The longer you stay in Tehran, the more danger you're in. And the more danger you put us in. I understood. I didn't want to, but I understood. They gave me a backpack. Some clothes. A little money. A phone number for the smuggler. Instructions. You'll take a bus to Sanandaj, Mehdi explained. Kurdish region. Near the border. The smuggler will meet you there. His name is Jamal. He's not a believer, but he's helped us before. You pay him. He takes you across the mountains into Turkey. It's a hard journey. Several days on foot. Dangerous. But thousands have done it. You can too. What if I get caught? Then you'll be martyred. And you'll meet Jesus face to face. Mehdi's voice was gentle. Not flippant. Honest. Brother, this is the reality of following Christ in Iran. We live knowing any day might be our last. But we also live knowing that death isn't the end. It's just the beginning. I nodded. Tried to let that sink in. Nazanin handed me something. A small book. Farsi New Testament. Pocket-sized. Worn. This was mine, she said. I want you to have it. Read it on your journey. Let Jesus speak to you through His word. You're going to need Him in the days ahead. I took it. Held it like the treasure it was. Thank you. For everything. You don't even know me and you're our brother, Mehdi interrupted. In Christ, we're family. Closer than blood. This is what the church does. We bear each other's burdens. We sacrifice for each other. Just like Jesus sacrificed for us. At midnight, they walked me to the bus station. Mehdi paid for my ticket with cash. No electronic trail. No record. When you get to Turkey, he said, contact this number. He handed me a piece of paper. It's a Persian church in Istanbul. They'll help you with the asylum process. With housing. With everything. You won't be alone. The bus was loading. I had to go. Mehdi, how do I thank you? He smiled. Sad but genuine. You survive. You keep following Jesus. You tell your story. You reach other Persians with the gospel. That's how you thank us. By living. By not giving up. By letting God use your pain for His glory. We embraced. Brother to brother. Family. I got on that bus with my single backpack. With no identification. With no plan beyond surviving. The bus pulled out of Tehran at 1 a.m. I watched my city disappear through the window. The city I was born in. The city I'd never see again. The propaganda murals. The Khomeini portraits. The mosque minarets. The mountains in the distance. All of it fading into darkness. I thought about my mother. Was she crying? Was she praying for me? Or had she already erased me from her heart? I thought about my father. His rage. His shame. Would he hunt me? Would he consider it his duty to kill me himself to restore family honor? I thought about Reza. My brother. My betrayer. Did he regret it? Did he lie awake at night wondering if he'd done the right thing? And Parisa. My little sister. She'd grow up hearing that her brother was a traitor. A Murtad. An enemy of Islam. Would she hate me? Or would she one day ask the same questions I asked? Would she find Jesus too? I prayed for them. All of them. Through tears. Through anger. Through grief. I say, please. Save them. Open their eyes. Let them see you the way I saw you. Don't let my family go to hell because they don't know the truth. Please. The bus drove through the night. Through small towns. Through darkness. Toward the Kurdish region. Toward the border. Toward an uncertain future. I pulled out the New Testament Nazanin had given me. Opened it randomly. The pages fell to Matthew chapter 10. The same chapter I'd read in my bedroom. The night before everything fell apart. Verse 37, anyone who loves their father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Verse 39, whoever finds their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. I'd lost my life. Everything familiar. Everything comfortable. Everything I'd known for 19 years. But the promise was there too. Hidden in that verse. I would find life. Real life. The life Jesus offered. Not life as I'd planned it. Not life as I'd wanted it. But life as He designed it. Life with purpose. With meaning. With Him. The bus drove on. And I slept. Fitfully. Dreamlessly. When I woke, the sun was rising. We were in the mountains. Kurdish territory. Different landscape. Different language spoken around me. Different everything. This was it. The point of no return. The bus stopped in Sanandaj at noon. I got off with my backpack. Found the address Mehdi had given me. A tea house. Crowded. Anonymous. I sat. Ordered tea I didn't drink. Waited. 20 minutes later, a man sat across from me. Rough. Weathered. Kurds who worked the smuggling routes had a particular look, hard but not cruel. Businessmen in a dark business. You're Arash? I nodded. I'm Jamal. You have the money? I handed him an envelope. Everything Mehdi had given me. He counted it. Nodded. We leave tomorrow night. Be here at sunset. Bring only what you can carry. We walk for 3 days through the mountains. It's winter. It's cold. It's dangerous. If you can't keep up, we leave you behind. Understood? Understood. Good. He stood. Don't get caught. If the Revolutionary Guard picks you up, you don't know me. You never heard of me. Clear? Clear. He left. And I sat there in that tea house in a Kurdish city I'd never been to, preparing to flee my country like a criminal. But I wasn't a criminal. I was a believer. A follower of Jesus. A son of the living God. And he was with me. In that tea house. In the journey ahead. In whatever came next. I opened Nazanin's New Testament again. Read more. Let the words wash over me. Strengthen me. Prepare me. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation, will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. Nothing could separate me from his love. Not my family's rejection. Not SAVAMA. Not the Revolutionary Guard. Not the mountains. Not exile. Not even death. I was his. Forever. Completely. And that was enough. That was more than enough. I'm sitting in a small apartment in Cologne, Germany, as I tell you this story. It's been 3 years since I left Iran. 3 years since I walked through those mountains with Jamal and 11 other refugees, Afghans, Kurds, one other Iranian Christian. 3 years since I collapsed on Turkish soil, exhausted and freezing, but free. The journey nearly killed me. The first night in the mountains, the temperature dropped below freezing. We walked in single file, no flashlights, no talking. Just the sound of boots on stone and our own breathing. My lungs burned. My legs screamed. I thought I would die on that mountain. But I didn't. Because Jesus walked with me. I felt him. Every step. When I wanted to quit, to lie down in the snow and give up, I'd whisper his name. ISA. 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 And strength would come. Not my strength. His. On the second night, we heard gunshots. Turkish Border Patrol or Iranian Revolutionary Guard, we never knew which. We scattered. Hid behind rocks. I pressed myself into a crevice, my heart pounding so loud I was sure they'd hear it. I prayed the entire time. Please, God. Please. I didn't come this far to die now. The shooting stopped. The patrol passed. We regrouped. One person was missing, an Afghan man, mid-20s. We never found him. I don't know if he got lost, got caught, or got killed. Jamal wouldn't let us look. We keep moving, he said. Cold. Practical. Survival. On the third day, we reached the Turkish side. Jamal pointed to lights in the distance. That's Hakkari. Turkish town. You're on your own now. Good luck. And he disappeared back into the mountains. Back to Iran. To smuggle another group. Again and again. I wonder if he's still alive. I pray for him sometimes. The man who saved my life for money but saved it nonetheless. I walked into Hakkari alone. Filthy. Exhausted. Traumatized. I had the phone number Mehdi gave me. I found a shop owner who let me use his phone. Called the Persian church in Istanbul. They came for me. 2 brothers. Drove 12 hours to pick me up. Brought me to Istanbul. To safety. To the Persian Christian community there. And I discovered I wasn't alone. There are thousands of us. Persian ex-Muslims who found Jesus. Who fled Iran. Who lost everything. Who carry the same scars, the same grief, the same impossible joy. They became my new family. They taught me how to apply for asylum. How to navigate the refugee process. How to wait the endless, crushing waiting. I lived in a refugee camp in Turkey for 14 months. Shared a room with 6 other men. Stood in line for food. For showers. For interviews with UN officials who would decide our fate. But I wasn't in Evin prison. I could read my Bible openly. I could pray without hiding. I could attend church services in Farsi, singing worship songs with other Persian believers, weeping together, worshiping together, healing together. And slowly, so slowly, I started to heal. The trauma of my arrest, my family's rejection, the escape, it all began to surface. I had nightmares. Panic attacks. Days where I couldn't get out of bed because the grief was too heavy. But Jesus was there. Through the brothers and sisters who prayed for me. Through his word. Through his presence. A Persian pastor in Istanbul, his name is Davud, he became like a father to me. The father I'd lost. He discipled me. Taught me the Bible. Helped me understand what it meant to follow Jesus not just emotionally but theologically. Intellectually. Holistically. Arash, he told me once, God didn't save you just to escape Iran. He saved you for something. Your pain has a purpose. Your story has power. You will use it to reach others. I didn't believe him then. I was too broken. Too traumatized. Too angry at what I'd lost. But he was right. After 14 months, my asylum case was approved. Germany accepted me. They gave me refugee status. A resident permit. The right to work, to study, to live. I came to Cologne in 2023. Started rebuilding. Learned German badly at first, better now. Found a Persian church here. Started working, just a warehouse job, nothing glamorous, but honest work. Enrolled in community college to finish my engineering degree. And I started telling my story. In church. In small groups. Online carefully, anonymously, protecting my identity because SAVAMA has long arms and my family is still in Iran. I tell it because Davud was right. My story has power. Every time I share it, Persians reach out. From Iran, from Europe, from America, from Australia. Secret believers still hiding in Tehran. Seekers who've started questioning Islam. Ex-Muslims who thought they were the only ones. And I tell them, you're not alone. Jesus is real. He's alive. And he's calling you. I can never go back to Iran. My passport was revoked. I'm wanted for apostasy. If I return, I'll be arrested and executed. My mother won't speak to me. I tried calling once, from a blocked number. She hung up the moment she heard my voice. My father declared me dead. Literally held a funeral. Reza. I don't know. Sometimes I dream he'll reach out. That he'll apologize. That he'll tell me he misses me. But he hasn't. And he probably never will. Parisa, my little sister, she's 18 now. I found her on social media. She blocked me immediately. The regime teaches families to cut off apostates completely. Total severance. I don't blame her. She's just surviving. Like I was. But I pray for them. Every single day. I pray my mother will have a dream of Jesus like so many Persian Muslims do. I pray my father's hard heart will crack. I pray Reza's conscience will haunt him. I pray Parisa will one day ask the questions I asked. Because that's what Jesus does. He pursues. He calls. He breaks through barriers that seem impossible. The cost has been high. I won't lie to you about that. I lost my family. My country. My language. I speak Farsi with other refugees, but I'm forgetting words. Forgetting idioms. My culture is slipping away. I'm stateless. My German refugee papers say Staatsangehörigkeit, stateless. Nationality, stateless. I belong nowhere legally. I can never go home. I live in permanent exile. Some days the loneliness is crushing. I miss Iran. I miss Persian food the way my mother made it. I miss Nora's celebrations. I miss the mountains. I miss speaking Farsi without thinking. I miss belonging somewhere. But then I remember what I gained. I gained Jesus. The real, living, present Jesus. Not a distant deity. Not a dead prophet. But the Son of God who loves me. Who appeared to me. Who walks with me. Who will never leave me. I gained a new family. Brothers and sisters in Christ scattered across the globe who would die for me and I for them. Real family. Eternal family. I gained purpose. My life isn't just about surviving anymore. It's about living. About sharing the gospel. About reaching Persians with the truth that will set them free. And I gained peace. That peace Jesus promised. That peace that makes no sense. Even in exile. Even in loneliness. Even in grief. It's there. Solid. Unshakable. So let me speak directly to you now. You who are watching this. You who found this video somehow. Maybe through a VPN. Maybe on YouTube. Maybe someone sent it to you. If you're Persian, if you're Iranian, Afghan, Tajik, if you grew up Shia, if you beat your chest for Hussein, if you waited for the Mahdi, if you performed the prayers and felt nothing, I'm talking to you. Jesus is calling you. Right now. This moment. He's not Western. He's not foreign. He's not the enemy the Ayatollahs say he is. He's God. He's alive. And he loves you with a love you cannot comprehend. You've spent your life trying to earn Allah's approval. Trying to be good enough. Trying to perform the rituals perfectly. And you're exhausted. I know. I was there. But Jesus doesn't ask you to earn it. He offers it. Freely. Completely. Grace. Forgiveness. Eternal life. Relationship with God. All of it. Free. Because he paid the price. On the cross. With his blood. Hussein died at Karbala and stayed dead. Jesus died on the cross and rose again. 3 days later. Alive. Victorious over death itself. The Mahdi has been hiding for 12 centuries if he ever existed. Jesus is here. Right now. Not hidden. Not absent. Present. Waiting for you to call on him. You're afraid. I understand. I was terrified. Terrified of what it would cost. Who I would lose. What would happen to me. And I lost everything. I won't lie to you. Following Jesus in the Persian world costs everything. But I also gained everything. And I would do it again. 1,000 times. Because knowing him, really knowing him, is worth more than family, more than country, more than safety, more than life itself. If you're in Iran right now, watching this through a VPN, you're heart pounding because you're afraid someone will find out I was you. Exactly you. Hiding in my room. Reading that Bible on my phone. Terrified. But unable to stop because something in those words was true. Trust that instinct. That hunger. That's Jesus calling you. He's pursuing you. He's breaking through the barriers the regime built in your mind. He's showing you the truth. You don't have to understand everything. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to take one step. Pray. Right now. In Farsi. In your own words. Say, Isa, if you're real, show me. I need to know the truth. I'm tired of the emptiness. I'm tired of the performance. I'm tired of the fear. If you're really alive, if you really love me, please reveal yourself. I'm listening. He will answer. I promise you he will answer. Maybe not immediately. Maybe not the way you expect. But he will. Because he's faithful. He keeps his promises. And when he does, when he reveals himself to you, when that supernatural peace floods your soul, when you know beyond doubt that he's real, then you have a choice to make. The same choice I made. The choice every Persian Christian has made. Will you follow him? Knowing what it costs? Knowing what you'll lose? Knowing the persecution that's coming? It's not an easy choice. It's the hardest choice. But it's also the only choice that leads to real life. Abundant life. Eternal life. And if you make that choice, if you decide to follow Jesus despite the cost, you need to know something. You are not alone. There are thousands of us. Persian believers. Ex-Muslims. Refugees and exiles and underground church members still in Iran. We are your family now. We will help you. Support you. Pray for you. Walk with you. Find us. Reach out. There are Persian churches in Turkey, in Europe, in America. There are online communities. Encrypted forums. Ways to connect safely. Don't try to do this alone. You'll need the body of Christ. You'll need brothers and sisters who understand. Who've paid the same price. Who can disciple you and encourage you and remind you of the truth when the lies get loud. And if you're already a believer, if you're already following Jesus but you're still in Iran, still hiding, still scared, I want to tell you something. Jesus sees you. He knows what you're going through. He knows the fear. The isolation. The danger. And he is with you. Every moment. Every breath. You may feel alone. But you're not. The same Jesus who appeared to me in that alley in Tehran, he's with you too. In your room. In your heart. In your spirit. Hold on. Don't give up. Don't recant. Don't deny him. Whatever they threaten. Whatever they take. Whatever they do. Your life is hidden with Christ in God. And nothing can separate you from his love. Not SAVAMA. Not Evin prison. Not your family's rejection. Not exile. Not even death. Because death is not the end for us. It's just the doorway. The threshold. The moment we finally see him face to face. The moment all the suffering makes sense. The moment we realize it was all worth it. I'm crying as I tell you this. Because I know some of you won't make it out. Some of you will be arrested. Imprisoned. Martyred. Your names will be forgotten by the world. But not by Jesus. Never by Jesus. He remembers every tear. Every prayer. Every act of courage. Every moment you chose him over safety. And he's preparing a reward for you that will make every second of suffering seem like nothing in comparison. So I'm asking you. I'm begging you. Don't waste your life on empty religion. Don't beat your chest for dead men. Don't wait for a hidden imam who's not coming. Turn to Jesus. The living Savior. The one who died for you and rose again. The one who's calling your name right now. He changed my life. Completely. Utterly. Forever. He saved me from emptiness. From despair. From hell. From death. And he wants to do the same for you. All you have to do is ask. So ask. Right now. Wherever you are. Whatever time it is. Whatever danger you're in. Pray this with me. Isa al-Masih, Jesus Christ, I don't have all the answers. But I'm ready to know the truth. I've spent my life trying to earn God's love and I'm exhausted. If you're really who you say you are, if you're really alive, if you really died for my sins and rose again, then I want to know you. I want to follow you. Forgive me. Save me. Make me yours. I give you my life. Whatever it costs. Amen. If you prayed that, if you meant it, then welcome. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the most difficult and most beautiful journey you'll ever take. You are my brother. My sister. My family. And I'm praying for you. Right now. As you watch this. I'm praying Jesus will protect you. Guide you. Strengthen you. Provide for you. And use you to reach other Persians with this same gospel. The Islamic Republic is strong. But Jesus is stronger. The regime has power. But Jesus has all power. They can kill the body. But Jesus gives eternal life. And one day, maybe in our lifetime, maybe not, Iran will be free. Not just politically. Spiritually. The gospel will spread like wildfire through our people. Millions will come to Christ. The same nation that persecutes believers today will become a sending nation for missionaries tomorrow. I believe that. I'm living for that. And I'm inviting you to join me. This is the story of how Jesus found me in Tehran. How he saved me. How he gave me a new life. A new family. A new purpose. This is my testimony. My confession. My declaration. Jesus Christ is Lord. He is alive. He is King. And no regime, no government, no power in heaven or earth can change that truth. Isa Zenda Ast. Jesus is alive. And if you call on him, he will save you too. I promise.